The defeat at the Battle of Falkirk in 1298 marked the end of William Wallace's time as Scotland's guardian, but it did not end his fight for freedom. Realizing that Scotland needed stronger political leadership, Wallace stepped down from his position. Instead of clinging to power, he chose what he believed was best for his country. For a time, Wallace disappeared from the public eye. Historians believe he traveled across Europe seeking allies for Scotland's cause. One of the countries he is believed to have visited was France, where he hoped to gain support from King Philip IV. Scotland's struggle against England was no longer just a local conflict. It had become part of the wider politics of medieval Europe. While Wallace searched for help abroad, King Edward I tightened his grip on Scotland. English garrisons spread across the country, and many Scottish nobles accepted English authority to protect their lands and families. Yet ordinary Scots still remembered the man who had defeated England at Stirling Bridge. To them, William Wallace remained a symbol of hope. By 1303, Wallace had secretly returned to Scotland. Although he no longer commanded a large army, he continued leading small groups of Scottish fighters in surprise attacks against English forces. These raids kept the spirit of resistance alive. Even as England appeared to control most of Scotland, King Edward I knew that Wallace's influence could not be ignored. As long as he remained free, Scotland would always have a hero around whom resistance could grow. Edward therefore ordered that Wallace be captured at any cost. The end came not on a battlefield, but through betrayal. In August 1305, Wallace was captured near Glasgow. Historical accounts identify Sir John Menteith, a Scottish noble serving the English crown, as the man responsible for his capture. Wallace had survived countless battles against England, but he could not escape betrayal from within Scotland itself. Bound in heavy chains, Wallace was taken south to London. Crowds gathered as England's most famous prisoner entered the city. To many English officials, he was a dangerous rebel. To many Scots, he was a national hero. On August 23, 1305, Wallace stood before a court in Westminster Hall. He was charged with treason against King Edward I. Wallace rejected the accusation. According to historical tradition, he declared that he could not be guilty of treason because he had never sworn loyalty to Edward I. From Wallace's perspective, Edward was not his lawful king. He had fought not as a traitor, but as a defender of Scotland's independence. The trial was brief. The verdict had already been decided. Wallace was sentenced to one of the harshest punishments in medieval England, to be hanged, drawn, and quartered. He was taken through the streets of London to Smithfield, where a large crowd gathered to witness the execution. Historical chronicles describe the punishment as exceptionally brutal. Wallace was hanged, then subjected to further execution. According to the sentence before finally being beheaded, his body was divided into parts, which were displayed in different cities as a warning to anyone who might rebel against the English crown. King Edward intended this punishment to destroy Wallace's legacy through fear. Instead, it achieved the opposite. News of Wallace's courage spread rapidly across Scotland. Rather than frightening the Scottish people into submission, his execution strengthened their determination to continue fighting for independence. Among those deeply inspired was Robert the Bruce. Only a year after Wallace's death, Robert the Bruce claimed the Scottish throne and renewed the struggle against England. In 1314, Bruce achieved a decisive victory over Edward II at the Battle of Bannockburn, securing Scotland's position as an independent kingdom for generations. Although William Wallace did not live to see that victory, many historians believe his earlier resistance made it possible. He kept the dream of Scottish independence alive during its darkest years. Centuries later, Wallace remains one of Scotland's greatest national heroes. His name appears in poems, songs, books, statues, and historical records. The Wallace Monument overlooking sterling stands as a tribute to the man whose courage inspired a nation. The 1995 film, Braveheart, introduced William Wallace to millions around the world, while the movie took many creative liberties and changed several historical details. It helped spark global interest in Scotland's history. The real William Wallace, however, was no fictional character. His achievements, sacrifices, and unwavering commitment to freedom were remarkable enough without embellishment. Today, historians continue to study Wallace's life, separating legend from documented fact. Some details of his early years remain uncertain, but the central truth is clear. He stood against one of the most powerful kings in medieval Europe. He inspired a nation that refused to surrender. He sacrificed everything for the hope of freedom. William Wallace did not live long enough to witness Scotland's ultimate victory, but his legacy outlived every battlefield and every king who tried to erase his name. More than 7 centuries later, his story continues to remind the world that courage is not measured by the odds of success, but by the willingness to fight for what is right. This was not merely the end of William Wallace's life. It was the beginning of a legend that history would never forget.